Good evening, everyone. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Brian Nicono. We'll get to all those stories coming up in just a moment.
First, though, we want to tell you about a missing girl that police are trying to locate right now. The Oxford County Sheriff's Office says her name is Shaylin. Her last name was not given to us. She's 11 years old and was last seen walking away from the Molly Ockett Middle School in Freiburg around 12:30. Shaylin is 5 feet tall, weighs about 100 pounds. She was wearing a gray hoodie with New York in blue lettering. If you know where she is, you are asked to call 911. The Maine Department of Environmental Protection has approved the expansion of Maine's largest landfill, one that's owned by the state.
It is called Juniper Ridge. It's located just west of Old Town. It was built back in the mid-1990s to bury waste from paper mills. It was acquired by the state in 2004. It then underwent a 50-acre expansion back in 2017. But the company that runs it, Casella Waste Systems, says it needs to expand again by about 60 acres. Maine's Department of Environmental Protection has decided that expansion is necessary.
But as News Center Maine's Katie Delaney reports, many people who live near the landfill are against it getting any bigger.
The Maine DEP determining that the Juniper Ridge landfill expansion would provide a substantial public benefit. The department saying in its ruling that the expansion does meet the goals of the state and region and promotes environmental justice.
We're happy to work with the state to make sure that that facility is something that serves the needs of Maine now and in the future.
After hearing public opinion, the DEP said to mitigate environmental concerns, Casella, the company that operates the facility, must inform the public about significant landfill events, complete an odor analysis, and install a system to treat PFAS that comes from the landfill.
We feel like that's the next step in landfill technology, and to be able to do that for the state of Maine through this expansion is something that we feel like we can accomplish.
Many people who live near the landfill are still concerned about the environmental impact that the expansion might have.
I think it's a very sad day for the people of Old Town.
Ed Spencer lives 2 miles from the landfill. He says living in Old Town can be heaven on earth until
the odor comes in, and when it's strong, it makes you almost panic because you shouldn't be breathing that stuff.
These environmental impacts are especially concerning to nearby Penobscot Nation, particularly the PFAS that comes from the landfill going into the Penobscot River.
There are concerns about their drinking water, concerns about fish.
Penobscot Nation's Water Resources Manager says Penobscot people rely on the river, and it's sacred to the tribe.
And so it's really important that water be clean.
Pushing for more to be done to protect the environment and the people who live near Juniper Ridge.
I'll continue to fight against this, leading up to expansion.
In Old Town, Katie Delaney, News Center, Maine.
According to Casella, it's in the early stages of the permitting process, which must be done and approved before construction can begin. Now, one reason Juniper Ridge is filling up faster than predicted is that it's accepting trash that ordinarily would have gone to the PERC Trash to Energy facility in Orrington.
That plant's new owner is still dealing now with a smoldering fire inside the building, and it's now prompting a widening number of air quality alerts. So today, the National Weather Service issued an alert that includes 18 towns in southern Penobscot, interior and coastal Hancock, and central Washington counties. And officials say particle from the fire can cause health problems for people who are sensitive or who have respiratory issues like asthma or heart disease. Will Maine's lobstermen face even more pressure to abandon traditional trap lines in the wake of a whale's death this past winter? That is the big question tonight after federal officials determined a right whale found dead off Massachusetts back in January was entangled in lines they say came from Maine. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, said the whale died from chronic entanglement. Federal regulators want lobstermen to start using traps that are not tied to each other or to a buoy on the surface. Instead, they want to see ropeless gear used. Steve Train, a longtime lobsterman here in Maine, says while he's saddened by the whale's death, he's concerned about additional restrictions on the lobster industry.
Something like this happens and they want to solve the problem with a sledgehammer instead of with a scalpel. We've adjusted what we do time and time again. It's obviously worked for a long time, and the fact that we've got this whale now doesn't mean that it's not working. With the amount of gear that's in the water and in the whales traveling, it just means it didn't work that one time.
In a statement to News Center Maine, the Maine Department of Marine Resources says it is premature at this point to speculate if this will have an impact on future rulemaking. There has been yet another school shooting threat to a school here in Maine.
Massabesic High School was the target of that threat. The district is now taking precautions. School is canceled for tomorrow, but as News Center Maine's Raya Wooten tells us, school shooting threats do more than just incite fear. They also disrupt learning.
Anxiety for parents with school-aged children across the state is rising.
Very scary, nervous. It's crazy what the world has come to.
Because more frequently, parents like Sari Haskell are receiving notices from school administrators informing them that their child's school is taking extra precautions against yet another school shooting threat. This week, parents, students, and staff at Massabesic High School are all bracing themselves.
It's becoming more and more common. All these hoax and jokes, and the kids think it's funny, and some of them are cries for help. I just hope that they all get their help that they need.
A photo of a threat circulated amongst students at Massabesic High School. Comments were added from students emphasizing that you never know what the person next to you is capable of.
A student had taken photos of the threat, had sent them off to friends through social media and to a family member. And thankfully, that family member in turn contacted the school.
The message was written in a Massabesic High School bathroom, and it was discovered Monday morning. Superintendent Stephen Marquis says the bathroom was immediately closed off. Security on campus was increased. Staff began investigating, and now school for some 1,000 students at the high school and its multiple campuses has been canceled for Friday.
Events like this really take away from the drastic improvements in student attendance that we're experiencing at Massabesic High School, the significant increase in participation in athletic and co-curricular offerings.
And the threats leave everyone forced to keep their heads on swivel. In Waterboro, Raya Wooten, News Center, Maine.
RSU 57 has a link to an anonymous reporting system on the district's webpage. It's called Say Something. Through the system, students can share information with school administrators if they become aware of any threat to safety. The superintendent says students from other districts can even share information on the webpage as well. Still ahead tonight, owners of another well-known restaurant are calling it quits.
We will tell you about that a little later. First, though, long after the crash, victims of drunk drivers and their families had few options when it came to helping them heal. Vivian Lee says that's changing. Her story next on News Center Maine at 6.